Cool. So thank you for coming, first of all. We're just going to do kind of a recap of our Warrior Wellness Challenge that we did. I can't believe it ended 2 weeks ago. It was like a whirlwind. But anyways, I kind of wanted to tell you why you're here in the first place. I picked you. There were 16 nurses that signed up for the challenge, and you guys are nurses, and you signed up. So you were actually my target audience with the whole project. And so I wanted to get with you guys and get some feedback from the challenge. So I was going to give you some quick stats on the Warrior Wellness Challenge. First of all, we had 88 total participants, which is pretty good. We had about 275 employees, so we're looking at about 30%. And that stayed true with RNs. We had 16 sign up, 16 nurses, and I think our facility we have 48. So we stayed right at about the 30% participation rate. At the halfway mark, we had 8 nurses who did the halfway check-in, and so that was 50% retention halfway through. And then final 8-week weigh-in, we only had 2, so we had 12% overall, which is pretty consistent with the overall challenge and how many people stayed in. So that's all good. But I just wanted to get with you guys specifically because I think you guys have challenges that perhaps other employees here don't have. We have different schedules. There were teams that worked 8 to 5. They see each other every day. We have people on night shift. Our nurses are on night shift, work weekends. You work 3 days a week, so the chances of you seeing your fellow teammates is lower than some of these other teams who were really successful. So that's kind of what we noticed. That's what I was talking with Michelle Ainsworth, she was my counterpart on the nursing side, and I forgot to introduce Greg, who we got to do this to make it professional. We went from like school project to for the reals. We had Facebook, blog, we had T-shirts, water bottles, everything. You don't have.
I don't know what I did with them. No, you did. I don't know what I did with them.
So yeah, but it all came about because, and I'm glad you're here, because I was sitting in a meeting and my good idea fairy went off, and my husband was deployed, so I didn't have him to be like, no, Sarah, stop. So then I continued, and I was like, what about, it was back in January, and people were like, man, the holidays, I ate all the holiday food, and I was sitting there, I was like, what about a Biggest Loser challenge? And then I asked you, Courtney, about that.
But I already lost 20 pounds.
But I just lost 20 pounds, exactly. Like, it's not fair. Like, how can we make it for everybody? And I'm not all about weight anyways. I think it's just a number. So then I was like, Courtney's right. Like, this should be for everybody. It should be about wellness. Again, no one was there to stop me at home from doing it. So I was like, hey, Greg, what do you think about a wellness challenge for RGH? And then he took it professional. But I had noticed just people were stressed out. I think in one, we had a pay period. It was 2 weeks. We had like 19 call-ins because it was that time of year where we have a lot more patients. Patients are sick. We're sick. We have sick kids at home. It was real apparent that stress levels were high, and you'll see later that that's one of the number one challenges that were identified by nurses was workplace stress and stress at home. So that kind of led up to this challenge. I don't know, it probably seems like it came out of nowhere, but I don't know, I just observed, and that's kind of where it came from. Yeah. That's pretty much the story, the history of Warrior Wellness in a nutshell. But first of all, if we could just go around and introduce ourselves and what area you work in for the camera.
Sharita Creighton, I'm an RN, work at Med-Surg.
Mercedes Lopez, I'm the Director of Patient Care, so Nursing Administration.
I'm Courtney, and I'm an RN on the Med-Surg floor.
Okay, so then our first question I wanted to ask you guys is what motivated you to sign up for the challenge?
I was kind of already trying to, you know, get better and get in better shape and lose some weight. I had a baby, and so I just thought, you know, it'd be something else good to add, because I had kind of, my motivation had started
Mm-hmm.
waning. So that's why I did it.
Okay.
I think mine was more of I like the wellness approach. Like, obviously, I think a lot of people could stand to lose some weight, but that was not just my initial reason for doing it. I think mine was more of the stress, like trying to step back and reevaluate what was causing my stress and my overall wellness from not being 100% where I wanted to be. And so I liked that idea of it not just being driven by weight or numbers.
I thought it would be fun. Number one.
Dorita liked the competition.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like competition. However, I chose crappy teammates. So, anyway. But that was fun. Yeah. Yeah. They're not sitting here. But no. But I think it'd be fun. Always try to, you know, eat healthy and things like that. And when you know that you have kind of people watching and looking, it makes it a little bit easier and harder sometimes to put away the cake and cookies and things, because you're like, challenge. But, that, and then I mean, I always like to be active and do things, and so wanted to continue with that. So it's fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
Cool. And then I was going to index some more questions, but what about, we did, the main components of the challenge were the logs, and then we did action plans, and we had kind of sporadic challenges throughout, like the weekly ones, like you guys submitted recipes and that sort of thing. Like, was there something that what did you feel was the most beneficial or the most helpful part? Or what would you improve on those things? The logs or the challenges? What do you think?
I think the logs were pretty good, just because it made you accountable for what you ate, drank, you know, whatever, exercised. Because looking back, you're like, oh man, I didn't do anything that day. Oh, you know, I got to get going, and so that was good. The log was good.
I think the plan was most beneficial to me, because I kind of always am cautious of what I'm eating, or, you know, aware of what I'm eating. But I think actually, again, my goal was more the wellness side of it. So the plan was more beneficial, because I actually got to sit down and evaluate what my goals were. And for, you know, even just like taking 30 minutes of quiet time, or whatever people want to call it, meditation time to myself, I recognized that I wasn't doing that at all. And so just stepping back and writing down that was my goal, is I want to take the 30 minutes every evening for myself for 5 days a week, was challenging to me. And you wouldn't think 30 minutes of quiet time to yourself is hard, but it is when you have work and family. And so I think that I really enjoyed the plans, because it forced me to set those goals of exercise or quiet time. Or one of the weeks I even was like, I just want to read something not related to work.
That's cool.
You know, and so it was like, that was nice to have that and force myself to do it.
We saw some really cool goals.
Yeah.
We did that weren't, most of them were like fitness related and nutrition related, but some really cool, like alone time. One of them, shut your phone off for an hour after work. Like it was cool. Like that, and that was what we were going for, I think, with the wellness. So people did really well with that. But what do you think, Courtney?
I think that was kind of the same for me. It was good for me to focus. Looks like, you know, I've been trying to lose weight and had been so focused on the physical aspect, what I was eating, what I was drinking, and keeping track of it all, and how many steps I was taking, and how I was working out, and blah, 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 and I wasn't really thinking about my stress level. And
I think you at one point were like, "This is stressful. The body is stressful." We're like,
I know.
No,
but it was good to just kind of help me take a step back, and, you know, there's other things I needed to look at too to help me not, to deal with stress. And
Let's see. I want to know what the best part of the challenge was for you guys. I think we probably touched on it. I think like the action plans, but there's like a challenge that stood out, something from the challenge that you really liked and would do again.
I like the whole concept.
Yeah.
The
You-
whole
would you do it
concept
again?
of, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just, I think the teams was neat because sometimes you do individual challenges, but
Mhm.
I think bringing in the team concept to bring in the accountability was really neat. Like you said, pick your team members wiser because they suck. Don't have doctors on your team.
yeah.
They do not participate. But I think just in general, like that was really neat. You guys changed it up every week, and then just the team challenge versus the individual challenges. So it was like constantly changing, and I think that kept a lot of people interested. But then at the same time, that could also be a weakness to the challenge
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like for those of us that are really busy or that work these weird shifts, it's hard to connect with your team. So we
Mhm.
weren't able to meet.
That was hard. And
Yeah.
thinking about the people who work 8 to 5, I could see how it would be so much easier for them because
Mhm.
every day they're seeing each other,
Yep.
and like a lot of them like work right there, in the same office or whatever. And
We
I
had
didn't
one
have-
doctor. You said doctors. We had one doctor who did everything,
Stalker?
but he
Yeah.
worked in. He saw them all the time. They work in the OR
so they were
together.
keeping him accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think that's huge.
It was really hard
factor.
because my husband was on my team, so that was easy. But the other 2 nurses are in the ER, or I guess
Yeah.
maybe he's not a nurse, and I would hardly see them, and
Yeah.
it made it more difficult.
We saw that. We really tried to get night shift involved to get everyone, and it was really difficult. We let them like submit things electronically, so they didn't have to
That's a
wake
challenge
up and
too. Like
yeah.
when I did work on Mondays, then it was like
to turn.
I have
right.
to go turn in stuff.
Yeah, and that's something we can, and it kind of leads into the next thing. What recommendations would you make specifically for nurses? But overwhelmingly, the research it says that we have a lot of competing priorities. That's like the biggest thing. We're busy. We work is stressful. It's 12 hours. Then you go home. You have kids. You have things to do, and this probably was one of those. This is another thing to add to your plate, but how can we make it another thing easier to incorporate into your lives? Yeah, so we can have more than 12% stay in.
Maybe extending it to like every 2 weeks.
For
So
the
it's not
last-
like she said it was hard to bring your stuff in every single Monday. So instead, maybe do a 2-week time period. That way, you have more time in between not to have to worry
Have to
about
turn it in.
submitting it,
Yeah.
or you have more time to meet with your team, or again, the accountability is not there if you're not doing it every week. But
Yeah.
maybe just getting that information to you. I don't know how it would be easier
Yeah.
to do it, or if you had some way to incorporate like a computerized
That's what I'm like. If you
database,
could like
or
submit it electronically or something
yeah.
from home, that would be easier. But
yeah.
that would be
Homework. For
Yeah.
Greg. That was, I think, one of the challenges. We brought that up a lot at the beginning, was how we were, because we did want it. Electronic is so much easier, but
For
then
some
we had
people.
88. Right, exactly.
Like Jarita doesn't always have internet.
Yeah, everything we did was like employee email based because everyone has to have an email. Like, wanted to make it fair. But then you're like, we do these challenges where you're take a picture of eating your salad, whatever, Monday or Wednesday when the cafeteria has a salad bar, and then like your email inbox is flooded with 88 different pictures. So
All your
that was
salad
my
pictures.
challenge, was how, and our challenge, how we can still do our jobs, but like, but get all of the stuff efficiently done. So
Keep
that's
track of it.
Yeah, that's something that we want to work on to be able to do it again. But do you have any other recommendations? Where the logs, like it wasn't too much, because another issue. It was the fairness issue was there. Like you give, I don't know, you can give points. You can give 7 points for exercising on 7 days. But is it really like healthy? You should have a rest day. Like
Yeah.
All with our scoring system, like it's all about what you're reinforcing, and so we had to be really mindful of that. And
Should not be
eventually,
reinforcing unhealthy
yeah, and
habits.
then so I got to week 6 and I was really struggling. Like, I don't know that I want to promote that you should write down everything that you eat for 8 weeks. Like, that's a lot, and I don't know that that's healthy itself. So I don't know. This was the first time we did it, so I struggled with a few things, and a lot of it was the scoring system. I think keeping it fair and
That seemed like that would be complicated. Like, how exactly do you score?
how do you score
Everybody.
wellness is a big thing. Like,
Yeah.
it's one thing you can. It's easy with numbers, with weight, and with measurements, and
It's not all about that.
right. So that's is a struggle. So I would welcome any if you have any suggestions for that. It got complicated. I wanted to show you a couple things that are related. I printed y'all out some. This is an article. Actually, it's from this month's American American Journal of Nursing. And it's kind of cool. They're really in the research. They're focusing pretty heavy on the health of nurses now. I have an article here that says we cannot ignore nurses' health anymore. It's big. They're looking at our wellness practices for ourselves and connecting it to patient outcomes and quality of care. So it's not going anywhere. I think I have a couple of articles that go through all of the different research studies, and it's just the amount of research on nurses and nurses' health is just growing exponentially. I wanted to show you also the American Nurses Association and Pfizer teamed up to do a Healthy Nurse Risk Appraisal. And this is available to all RNs. It started in 2013. And it's not the first time that they've done massive studies on nurses, but this is available to all 3.4 million nurses, I think is how many there are of us. And anyone can take it. You don't have to be a member of the American Nurses Association. I took it myself. I think it was 52 questions. It was really comprehensive. They look at workplace safety, workplace stress, how often do you carry heavy objects, like very different things, but a huge focus was wellness. And printed off specific to specific to the wellness challenge, they ask, you have to say you strongly disagree, agree, strongly agree, that sort of thing. Is the price for healthy food choices comparable to the price of other food at your healthcare facility? Do you have access to worksite wellness health promotion programs? Number 3 is I participate in employer-sponsored health promotion activities. And then number 4 is I have access to employer-based exercise facilities and programs. So they're looking at this. They're gathering data, and this wellness challenge kind of addresses some of these, but not entirely. And so maybe we can work on that. That's kind of my goal. I want to use the American Nurses Association to kind of let them guide where it goes using their standards. But the overall, that's just the wellness section, like I said, of this 52 question survey. The point is to give nurses real-time data. So like they've already published, they've published findings from October 2013 to October 2014. But if you log in to this site here, this is a portal for the Healthy Nurse. It is a web portal. It gives you resources over here. But here, it's where you register to take the appraisal. And once you're done, they give you your results right there, and they compare you to the averages of the nation. So it kind of lets you compare your own health, because we don't ever do that. We focus on patients all the time, but it allows us to look at ourselves and see how we compare. I think it took me like 15 minutes, but it was really cool. so to let y'all know it's out there. But yeah, it's not going away. They're gonna focus a lot, I think, on our wellness as well. But I wanted to go through this really quick. And this nurse here, she's from Iowa, the University of Iowa Hospitals, Sharon Tucker. She wrote this, it's pretty cool, little editorial, but she changed our vital signs. She made them applicable to nurses. Instead of blood pressure, she wrote being present, and it asks, am I being present in all of my encounters with patients, their families, colleagues, and my own friends and family? Do I truly listen, or do I drift off and only listen occasionally? Am I taking daily moments of calm and stillness? These are hard.
No one knows.
These are hard finals. T is for tracking. Am I tracking my own health metrics and numbers and taking action when needed? This is asking no more than what we ask of our patients, many of whom are weak and frail. Each nurse knows which personal metrics matter most. P is for practicing health and wellness behaviors. Every nurse should model health practices. Employee wellness programs exist in most healthcare organizations, providing nurses with access to facilities and resources for physical activity, strength building, and healthy eating. Tapping into these and other resources should be a priority. And then R, instead of respirations, is refueling. Refueling is all too often overlooked and not truly attended to. Refueling means getting adequate rest and sleep and stepping away from work, finding meaning, energy, and joy in other aspects of life. This may include being involved in an organized religion, taking meditation or yoga classes, or spending time with friends. And she's promoting a vital signs selfie campaign. And yeah, she just wants nurses to spread the word to other nurses. And
That's kind of cool.
It is
Where
cool.
Nurses may want to include a self-care goal in their annual performance plan.
I like that.
Which is funny because when we had my personal evaluation and you were asking me questions, that was my thing. I said I wanted to improve was my work-life balance.
Mm-hmm. That's a great goal, and they're showing it affects your patient care, so it's absolutely valid. Absolutely. So that's that. I just wanted to leave you guys with that. I thought it was pretty cool. Little article. It's a lot, and they ask a lot of us. They want us to be examples for our patients, more than just take good care of patients. They want us to be examples for them, and that's hard, but I think we can do it.
You eat this chicken while I go eat my cheeseburger.
No salt.
No salt for you.
Yeah. Cool. Y'all have anything else? Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
I appreciate you guys. It was fun. And we'll thank Greg and also Michelle. They were huge. They helped me a ton on this. So I can't believe it's over. Warrior Wellness. But we'll do it again. We're working on it.